Hello and welcome to the next edition of Leeds Lounge. The thing I guess I'm calling a podcast, not quite there yet. I don't know. Maybe it will be one day. Once again, I am Jordan Ulick. My co-host here is,
Dwayne Taylor.
as always, and today we are bringing you the former Kansas Teacher of the Year, Taylor. Introduce yourself, sir.
Hi, everyone. I'm happy to be here. I'm excited to be on here with Jordan and Dwayne. I teach eighth grade social studies at Prairie Trail Middle School up in Olathe, Kansas. This is my 11th year doing that. I also occasionally teach a leadership course. And so I'm also involved in school. I coach cross country and basketball there. So really involved. And I'm lucky, blessed to work with my wife, who's an amazing math teacher right down the hallway from me. So she's a sixth grade math teacher.
And I really appreciate your background, just so as you know, you and I both grew up there in Lawrence, so that's near and dear to my heart. So,
Yep. Oh, yeah.
um, let's go ahead and get started here. One thing that I've noticed from career educators and people that have been doing it for a while, your philosophy of how you teach and your philosophy of education kind of evolves and changes over time. How has your philosophy changed over time and gotten to where you are now?
Yeah, I think when I was entering my very first year of teaching, I remember being so psyched out about having to know all this content, like this historical content. I get in there and I'm like, these eighth graders are going to eat me alive if I do not know my content. And I got to like really teach it. And I think I've evolved and realized that I don't have all the answers. There's no way I could possibly know everything there is to know about history, right? So really simply, philosophy education, like kids over content, like
Mm,
first
beautiful.
thing, kids over content. I teach middle school, and I think like I said, I was a little bit nervous my first couple of years, but it should be fun. Like I think teaching middle school should be fun. Kids should have fun. I think about teaching as a transfer of energy and being inspirational to kids, building them up. I think that belonging breeds success, right? And so eighth graders, they're walking our buildings and they just want to know that somebody cares about them. They want to know that they belong, um, and they want to know that they matter. And so if I can make kids feel like they matter and they belong in my class, then we're going to get a lot more done. Um, so I think you hit around the nail on the head though. Like our philosophy changes and it changes every year based upon what kids we have in our classroom, maybe even by the hour. There may be certain things that I can do with 1 hour that I can't do, that I don't do with another, just based upon the kids that are in my class. And so, yeah, I think kids over content has always been something that I go back to. And I think that, like I said, it should be fun. It should be engaging, right? Um, I think that if I'm bringing a lot of energy to my classroom, then I'm hoping that that transfers. And so I can't expect my kids to engage in what I'm asking them to do if I'm not bringing in everything I got. And I have learned over the years that eighth graders really respect you if they know that you're working hard for them.
Mhm.
And so I try to work my tail off to really think about what it is that I'm asking them to do. And have I thought through this? And is it relevant? I think that when I'm thinking about how I used to teach history, I always started with the past. And I think that eighth graders, they don't necessarily always care about that. They care about right now. They want to know what's relevant and what it means to them. And so I always say that, if we're really learning history, we should be change or doing something with that today.
Mm.
Right. And so I think if we start with the now, we meet kids where they're at, and then we kind of backtrack with history and kind of pull, oh, why is it that way? Well, here's the historical context, and then we can kind of challenge that as we move forward.
There's a
I
lot of
think, yeah. Sorry, I love
oh,
this kind
Oh,
of
fantastic.
that was
conversation.
beautiful. A lot of really beautiful things. One of my quote I live by, I teach by, my teaching philosophy is actually a Franklin Roosevelt quote, and it's people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. And that's what I live by in my classroom. So a lot of what you said really spoke to me there. That was really nice.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. And I see that like modeling that, especially to that age group, letting them know I don't have all of the answers, modeling, letting them know that I'm a lifelong learner also. So that makes them okay to not feel like they need to know everything as well, even though I know they sometimes do. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
but
Yeah.
but no, my question was going to be, and it's perfect after looking at your bio that it was about balance. It was finding that. How do you find that balance for the academic rigor and especially in today's age, with the how do you balance that with social emotional, uh, with that type of learning as well, but also speaking of balance, like how do you do it? How did like you are a teacher, head coach basketball, head coach cross country, the diversity program that you have, like how like man, you are so impressive. And so, but for right now, just how do you find that balance with the academic rigor with the social emotional?
Dwayne, I really appreciate you saying that. I don't know, I know that we're all busy as teachers, like you said, and balancing it all. And um, I just continue to come back to like, this is who I am, this is what I do, right? And like, um, you find connections between all of it, right? And I'm like I said, I'm lucky enough to work with my wife, and so Prairie Trail is just part of who we are, and so we don't think about it. We just do it. We're involved because we love the building, we love the kids, we love the people that we work with. Um, but the question that you asked, like I saw this question on the list, and I was kind of nervous about this question. I'm just going to be very honest and blunt. Like, yeah, I mean that's tough, right?
Hmm.
And I think they worked in tandem. They worked together, right? Um, I think it's really important for me to have extremely high expectations and be a very rigorous teacher. Like I take very personally what our world looks like today. As a socialist teacher, I'm like, okay, we got some things that we need to work through, right? So we have to be rigorous. We have to engage in those conversations. But also teaching eighth grade, you're working with a lot of emotions
Hmm.
and a lot of different perspectives. And so I think my answer is simply like listen to kids. And when we listen to what the middle schoolers are interested in, or we listen to what they need, that kind of gives us a frameworks to work off of like, hey, how deep can I go today? Or is this a day where like I gotta be a little bit more goofy and have a little bit more, hands-off approach. And so I think there's a lot of improvisation that goes along with that, kind of like code switching back and forth between being, super rigorous and like, okay, let's do this, but then also like being fun and like, hey, we gotta we gotta hit the reset button here. And I think it comes down to intentionality, being intentional, um, and engagement. If you're being engaging and you teach kids how to engage appropriately, um, I think we can get into some high level topics and conversations. But it is really important, especially at the middle school level, um, that we're in tune with what is happening, with what's going on within a kid's life, because they're working through a lot of things. They're grappling with like one, like what kind of human am I?
Hmm.
What kind of human do I want to be? And like, do people like me? And that's a lot to deal with. And so, like I said, I think improvisation and then also just being real with kids. I don't have a great answer for that one. I
No,
really
that is a fantastic answer because like obviously like if you don't hit that social emotional, if you don't hit that, the academics isn't going to matter anyway because you haven't hooked them. You don't have the buy-in from them. So
right.
no, I absolutely love. I mean there is no the way that you read the kids and the way that you pour your heart and everything you have into your profession, everybody sees that. Obviously, you've won Kansas Teacher of the Year, but I mean, your students see that, their parents, the community. I imagine your colleagues, they feed off of that energy also. So thank you so much for all that you do.
Thank you.
Taylor, I love what you said about being real. And I think even at the elementary level, I know at fourth and fifth grade, I'm sure like my kids already know if I'm being fake.
Mhm.
Like if
Yes.
if I am not being genuine within the moment, they already know that. And I can imagine that just grows exponentially by the time they get to middle school and the high school. You got to meet them where they're at. You have to be real with them. Um, Sometimes my favorite moments in class is, we'll have a class meeting every day, and it's just talking to them about life and just having that moment where the math didn't matter, the reading lesson didn't matter. We're just meeting them where they are, and we're just having a good time in the moment.
I love that. Yeah, I sometimes think some of our best lessons are when we're kind of like, this may sound bad, but we're wandering around our room looking for like a conversation with a kid. Or like, maybe it's a station work we're doing and we're wandering our room, like just engaging in those like little subtle conversations, and making those deposits of belonging, right? Um,
Ooh,
Yep.
and, and so
deposits of belonging. Dude, you're so quotable, man. Like you just drop dimes all the time.
I don't know where it goes from.
Um, I think one of the big problems we have right now, Dr. Watson talks about it a lot. I've talked to the administrators about it. Like, 5, 10 years ago, you had a teaching position and you get 10 applicants, 15 applicants. And now you're lucky to get one, maybe two applicants for those. And the 5 year burnout rate is insanely high right now in education. And I think that's one of our growing concerns. So how can schools or communities better support and recruit teachers to help with this problem?
Yeah, I think this is like a complicated question because I feel like, the challenges that we see in society, right? They run parallel to challenges that we see in our classrooms, right? So, like, we obviously, as human beings, we're working through issues and we see them manifest themselves in our classrooms. And we know that teachers, there's a lot put on teachers constantly. I think from the administrative level and from top down, we have to be extremely mindful of what it is that we're asking teachers to do. Um, like you said, we mentioned the balance earlier. Like we are helping raise the next generation that's going to be running our country and our world. And so it can be exhausting. And then we go home to our own families. I have two kids of my own, and it's tough. So we have to be extremely careful about what we're asking teachers to do, knowing that they're already working their tail off. Um, and so addressing teacher burnout, I also think, I'm just going to address the elephant in the room. Like there's a public rhetoric about public education right now that's tough. And so when we're talking about teacher burnout, and we know we can talk all day about pay or the amount of things that we're asked to do or whatever, and then you layer that with, okay, we have societal conversations happening that maybe aren't as kind to public ed. We feel that. We feel that. I feel that very deeply. And so if I'm trying to give my all, and we are seeing challenges from all different areas because, in public we accept all kids, and so we're bringing in all different walks of life. We see different things that we're trying to help, but then also we feel as though there is this narrative about what we're doing that weighs on us. And so I personally think there has to be some sort of shift in that narrative within our society, um, you know, and put some respect on what we do in our profession, right? And like, you know, if we're hit, then we have to be positive about what we do, right? We have to sing the positive praises louder, um, because I know you guys believe this, but still the best calling, job, profession, whatever it is you do. Like, I mean, we we have a really, really, really freaking cool job.
Absolutely.
And
Hands down
Absolutely.
the greatest.
yeah, and so I think we need to address what we're hearing on a broader scale because that trickles down to us.
Mhm.
And then, like I said, the admin, we need to be mindful of what we're asking teachers to do.
And
I had the
teachers,
privilege of attending the Kansas Keen Conference uh, this over the last week, and hearing Dr. Watson talk and what you just talked about, he really hit on, and that was when you go to social media, when you talk to people in the, the restaurant or the coffee shop or whatever you tend to hear all the negative things going on with education. And we need to go back to the good old days and we need to go back to how it used to be. But one of the things that he talked about is, graduation rates have never been higher in the state of Kansas than they are right now.
Mhm.
They were not higher in the 50s. They were not higher in the 60s, the 80s, the 90s, wherever the good old days were. Like our graduation rates are higher now than they've ever been before. So good things are happening. And that's, as to your point, we got to let people know that. We got to scream that from the rooftops because great things happen every day in our classrooms that people just don't know about.
Yes. I love that. You're
And
absolutely right. Like, yeah.
And, and
It,
like you said, and teachers need to feel supported, if not by admin, by fellow colleagues. So that's a number one thing also is, and that's the thing I love about Kansas Leads is like going to these conferences, every single time you go, you are surrounded by passionate teachers who genuinely want to be there. And the energy that pours into those conferences and what you walk away from those with, like that's the kind of thing that like fuels me. It's the support. Like I work in a district that's fantastic and I feel support from administration, community, students everywhere, but I know not everybody has that luxury.
Mhm.
But going to these conferences and the passion that these fellow educators, colleagues, just stars like you, Taylor and Jordan, like that's the stuff that I love so much about this.
Yeah, I love that too, Dwayne. It's like there's something to be said about surrounding yourself with people that are just as passionate as you about that thing. And ultimately, I was thinking when you're talking about like that's what we want for our kids.
Hmm.
That's what we want for our young people is we want them to feel what we feel when we go to these conferences when we're surrounded by people that do what we do and love what we do, and we're going to scream it from the rooftops because like this is our calling and we love this profession because we're working with human beings. And yeah, I love that.
I mean, exactly. You said, like, I've always talked about how, like, we're teaching people how to be people. Like, that's what yeah, we teach science, we teach social studies, we teach math, all those things. We teach them how to read, but we also teach them how to be people in a society.
Mhm.
And in some ways, I think like that's almost more important of the work that we do. So.
I agree 100%.
Well, let's see. That takes us to let's talk a little bit Kansas Leads. Dwayne, that conference is coming up here in real soon. It's going to be here real fast. I'm pretty excited about it. Dwayne, let's remind the listeners where it's at. Where it's at.
We are starting on Friday at the Kansas Crossing Casino in Pittsburgh. We have some amazing entertainment set up, great food. For those people who are traveling further than 60 miles, I believe there's not a lot available. So you want to get in quick and get signed up, but there are hotel rooms available for those people. Then on that following Saturday, we will be here actually in our district, in my school here in Frontenac. So again, we've got great food. We have a rich Italian heritage. So we've got some rigatonis and other delicious things planned. But one thing that I love about my district is we're a small district. We're all pre-K through 12, all in one building. So I have that luxury of seeing those kids that I've taught in kindergarten, and I still see them on a daily basis as seniors in high school. But we're going to host that here. We have so many amazing guest speakers here on that Saturday, including Taylor. Um,
Yeah,
I'm
it's
excited
going
to
to
be
be.
there.
Taylor is going to be a guest speaker for us. That's I believe Taylor is April 25th. I believe Taylor is that Friday night, if I
Yep.
remember right.
Friday
But Taylor's
evening.
going to be the guest speaker Friday night. We have another one coming at you, John Arthur, the
Mhm.
Utah Teacher of the Year and a National Teacher of the Year finalist. And I have heard some real amazing things about him. Okay, not that you're not amazing, you're amazing. I've
He's a
just
rock
heard
star.
some outstanding things about John Arthur. He's going to be the keynote on Saturday. We said we got that taco bar coming at you. Last week or last month, I hinted on special opportunity for those that signed up earlier. I'll go ahead and give you just a little bit more information on that. Details are still kind of coming out, but there's going to be a special opportunity for a group of you that got that registration in early enough to go visit the Lowell Milken Institute of Unsung Heroes, which is right outside, a little ways outside of Pittsburgh. And it's a amazing museum about telling stories of people that made significant contributions to history, but you just don't know about it. Um, we're going to have a special opportunity to hear some of those stories, view some of those artifacts, those type of things. So I am really excited about that. The list of breakout sessions is being finalized. We got some fantastic people coming at you. We got people from the state level with KSDE. We got people from KASB coming. We have teachers coming to give you presentation just to pour their heart and soul into you guys that want to attend with us. So I'm looking really excited about that. Dwayne, you got anything else that we
We
need to cover
also
there?
have the Q&A with the Kansas Commissioner of Education, Dr. Randy Watson. Knowing that our state is so fortunate to have the leadership that we do, and to have someone who is this accessible to us to answer questions, to genuinely value our feedback, and to know that he's there fighting for us, like that makes a world of difference right there.
Yeah. He listens.
Mhm.
He listens and he's about action. He's about teachers.
Mhm.
And I'll just add, Jordan, too, like, if you're coming to Kansas Leads, you get to spend some time with the 2025 Keen air guitar champion, Jordan.
Yeah, Dwayne, you don't know that.
I didn't know
I
that.
won the air guitar competition at the Keen conference. There's a there's a video floating around out there somewhere. We'll have to track that down.
Got a
Oh,
celebrity in the house.
oh my gosh. Oh, now I know tomorrow I'm going to brag to everybody. I am friends with that guy.
I might have jumped off a chair and freaked everybody out that I was gonna hurt myself, but we were all good, man.
That is
It was
awesome.
amazing.
Oh. And I
All right,
will say
everyone.
how jealous I am of both of you. Having, like, Jordan's fortunate enough to be able to work with his wife also. And Taylor, you say that. My wife steps into my classroom for 5 minutes and she's itching to leave. So I cannot convince her, which is weird because both of her parents were educators. She
Wow.
went the medical profession. So yeah.
All right, I think on that note, Taylor, thank you for joining us this evening. It was a pleasure hearing from you and learning from you.
I was excited to be here with you guys. It's been awesome. It's been awesome. I love getting to talk with other teachers from the state and talk about what we do. So,
And that's what Cadence Leads is.
yeah.
Talking to other teachers and communicating and making those connections.
Yep.
So on that note, once again, I am your host, Jordan Ulick,
And I'm Dwayne Taylor.
and that was Taylor.
And
Thank
I'm
you for
Taylor
joining us
Bussinger.
tonight.